From the top of the town at 715 Main Street in historic Deadwood, it's time for another episode of the DTC Blow and Smoke Podcast. It's time for another Quick Smoke With. Joining us this time is Mr. Shorty Rossi. Welcome, Mr. Trump Rossi.
Yeah, don't get used to that one. But yeah. What's going on there, Randy?
We're going to ask you three questions. We ask everybody the same questions and just want to hear your opinion. Number one.
My opinion or Trump's opinion?
Your opinion.
Okay.
Actually, we might redo it as Trump later. All right. From the humidor right now, what we've got out there, or your own line, you get one last cigar. What are you going to smoke and why?
Diesel Shorty Original. Why? Because it pays the bills.
I think that would be the same answer for both Trump and Shorty. Number two, do you have out there somewhere a dream cigar? Like something you've read about, something that's out of production, something that's really expensive? What's your holy grail cigar and why?
There isn't really one because I've made the one I love. Mm-hmm. With the help of AJ Fernandez, of course. So,
very good. So that would be the Diesel Shorty?
Original.
Original. Not the Rage?
No, the
right.
original. And
then last but not least, if you could have a cigar, maybe a drink with one person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
That person that smokes cigars. George Burns.
And why?
Because he's comical, funny, and he likes cigars. And hopefully I'll live to 100, but I probably won't make it past 65, but yeah.
Is that next year?
Fuck off. You know you're going to be walking around the shop today. You're just going to get sucker punched right in the fucking balls.
That has been a Quick Smoke with Shorty Rossi, everybody. Check it out, Shorty's Rescue Inc. Thanks, Shorty. And now it's time for a very special, a Quick Smoke With VIP edition with Ares. Welcome, Ares. Thanks very much for joining us. We ask everybody the same questions. Question number one, from our humidor right now, you get one last cigar. Which cigar are you going to smoke? Very good. And also, Ares, what is your holy grail cigar? Like one cigar that you maybe can't find or is out of production, expensive. Which one are you going to smoke? And last question, Ares. If you could have a cigar and maybe a bowl of water with one person, dead or alive, who would you choose? I think that's a great answer. Everybody, that has been a Quick Smoke with Ares. We'll be right back with episode number 42 of the DTC Blow and Smoke podcast with Christian Eiroa. But first, need to let you know that there are just a very few tickets left for our cigar and whiskey pairing with the Old Style Saloon number 10. It's on Sunday the 26th of November, 6:30 p.m. It's just $64 for a ticket or $110 for a couple. You get two delicious La Aurora Perforitos and 3 samples of Bowman Brothers bourbon. You get a single batch, you get a small batch, a single barrel, and a port finished bourbon. Private event after we are closed. Tickets available right now, deadwoodtobacco.com. Make sure you jump on there and grab them. We're going to have a great time the 26th of November, 6:30 to 8:30 at Deadwood Tobacco Company. Be right back. welcome to episode number 42 of Deadwood Tobacco Company Blow and Smoke podcast. Joining me today are the preacher, Ethan, behind the board, mixing and mastering, and, of course, the boss of bosses, Mr. Wild Bill. Good morning.
Howdy, howdy.
We're shooting this right before Bill and I take a little work trip. We're going to head down to Nebraska, the hub of Midwestern blues. At least that's what I'm going to call it. We're going to go to a couple cigar lounges. We're going to scout some blues bands, and we're going to have a meeting with the Blues Society of Omaha, trying to expand what we feature up here on the stage at Deadwood Tobacco at the venue at 715 Main Street. So we're excited about that. So we're shooting a little bit early today. It's only about 11 o'clock our time, so we should be sober-ish.
I'm sober.
For the most part. Jesus. So this is the second of our three-part series on the Blow and Smoke podcast. The first one we visited with Crowned Heads, Mr. John Huber. And then soon we have Nick Melillo from Foundation Cigars will be joining us. But first, we would like to welcome from CLE, Eiroa, Asylum 13, Mr. Christian Eiroa. Thanks very much for spending time with us.
Yeah, pleasure's all mine, man. I'm glad to join you guys. I wish I were there in person. Although this time of year, I don't know if I want to be up in South Dakota.
You're actually, we're hanging in there. No snow yet for us, but it's coming.
Next week. Next week.
Yeah, we just got poured on in Miami, man. So your weather today is probably much better than it was for us the last 2 days.
Well, we'll take it. We will take it.
Oh, it's beautifully warm the last 2 days here. Unseasonably. You didn't need a coat. Sun was out. It was great.
That's awesome, man.
We will start this the way we start all of our podcasts. What are we smoking? Ethan, you're up first. What are you smoking today?
My favorite CLE, I think, of all time is the 25th anniversary Nicaraguan Puro. It's a fantastic cigar.
Very good. Bill?
Silly Connecticut. Like Randy said, it's the morning. I don't go strong like Ethan. I have a palate. I like to taste.
And we've got a 9-hour drive when we'll have probably 4 cigars, so we'll keep that in there. Yeah. I chose to go with, because we're going to be featuring an Asylum product here in a little bit, the Asylum 13 Authentic Corojo. A delicious, delicious stick for this time of the day. We just had a little breakfast, so it's a nice settling after that. And Christian, what would you be smoking with us today?
Nothing.
I'm actually... Yeah, Rupert came back from the factory. He gave me a sample. He's like, try this. Tell me what you think. So I'm trying one of our samples that Rupert worked on. I don't know what it is, so I can't tell you. But it's so far so good. It tastes pretty good.
Very nice. Well, we look.
Right now, Rupert would know I don't smoke 54 by 6. That I smoke 50 by 5. But the fourth year, that out.
I think we've seen you smoke something a little bit bigger than that with Shorty at the PCA, though.
The short only guy who can make me light up that dumb cigar.
That shit was funny, though.
It was indeed.
That guy's awesome. We had a good time. I couldn't stop crying. I was laughing so hard.
That cigar is as big as his leg.
No, listen, you light that 90 by 9. Just getting it lit, I feel like I smoked a full Robusto already. We actually weighed that cigar. When we weighed it, the cigar weighs 190 by 9 weighs the same as 270 by 7s.
Wow.
And the 80 by 8 weighs the same as 260 by 6s. I'm sure if I sat down on a piece of paper, I could figure out the math, why it works out that way. But it's amazing, man. It's exact math. It's really impressive.
That is shows some consistency, and go ahead and take credit for it, Christian. Just you got your old abacus out and your scales, and it's perfectly aligned, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about a little bit later in this podcast what we all have been waiting to hear about, the Asylum 867. But first, I want to go back in a little bit of history for those that aren't familiar. When we met with you at PCA, we had a few minutes to sit down and chat, and you had mentioned that you were familiar with Deadwood Tobacco even before the store opened with the previous owners, which we're assuming is how you were introduced to Mr. Wild Bill. Can you take us back and just tell us about the first time meeting Bill and how you guys formed your friendship and your business relationship, and what was your first impression of this guy?
Well, I'm not going to tell you the first impression of the guy because it's not going to be good. But yeah, I remember, man, when John and Vaughn came down, we used to do these Honduran trips at Camp Camacho at the time, and they were just so fed up with California. Like, man, they were like, man, we want to move into this town, South Dakota. I wasn't making the connection between Deadwood and Sturgis, but the way that John spoke about this place, I said, bro, you got to do it, man. I mean, you only live once. And once that store opened, they were so happy. And I said, dude, I had to go visit and see what it was all about. I think I went to the first summer that the place opened up, and I was very impressed. I love the location. I love the town. I love the location of Deadwood. And then, over the years, I met Bill. Bill became really good friends with Tom Lazuka and Michelle and a couple of guys from the company, and he knew them before I met him. I finally met Bill. So if you haven't met Bill yet, you meet him the first time. He's scary as hell because he doesn't smile, he doesn't talk. He doesn't have the softest look either. You know what I mean? So I was all right, whatever. And I think we finally got to spend some time in Honduras, right, Bill, when we're developing the blend for Deadwood. Well, back then it was Deadwood Tobacco. Now it's called
ASYLUM.
Now it's called ASYLUM 87.
That's correct.
And then that's when we actually spent a lot of time. And I really got to liking Bill. I understood his business approach a lot better. And we had a very similar business approach, which is people first, and then the product. And I really like the way he thinks. And I think that's where we connected. Because we can't. We're in business, of course. You got to make a profit, but part of what you want to do with that profit is to help other people. And it's Bill's drive in developing this product and his altruism with his employees is what really made me trust him a lot more and develop that one relationship. Not that I didn't trust him. It's just that, when two different companies meet, or two different heads of two different companies meet, it takes a while for the relationship to develop. And I think with Bill has become a pretty solid one thus far.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, absolutely. And we got to witness a little bit of that firsthand when Grimes and I joined down in PCA, and we're fortunate enough to be invited to your birthday party and got to see the interaction and how much you guys kind of bounce off of each other. And just a quick little story for you. My first time at a trade show. I've only been here a year. So we're sitting there outside, a beautiful event. It's beautiful outside. We're under the misters. We're having a cocktail or two. And we're in Deadwood gear. We've got our jeans on and our shop shirts, and there are a lot of sharp-dressed people at your birthday party. We were not three of them. We looked okay, but we were definitely South Dakotan. So we're just hanging out, visiting with whoever comes by, and Michelle was there and a few others, and then Christian comes out, sits down and talks to Bill for 15, 20 minutes, just about all kinds of different stuff in the industry, and then Christian gets up to go visit with other guests, and holy shit, we were the belle of the bar. After Christian left, everybody wanted to talk to us. They're like, who are these three scrubs over here sitting on the bench? And yeah, we had a wonderful, wonderful time, and that's, of course, when they surprised you with the CBT 50 by 10, which we've been lucky to smoke quite a few of here at the shop and at Bill's house. So yeah, it's been quite a crash course on some of that side of the tobacco industry.
Now, from that moment on,
when you guys walk in, someone said, "Hey, man, do you let the Teamsters in here? Are they booth here at 8 car? No, man, I know they're good guys. So it's pretty interesting. It's always fun to spend time with guys. Listen, I've grown up pretty conservative, right, my whole life, and still was Bill at one point. So it's always interesting to see how things can be approached at different points of view, and just how cigars really touch so many people in so many different ways. And it's not just, cigar can be smoked by anybody. And I'm talking about grown-ups, of course, right? But any race, people that come from different directions. And that's one thing I really enjoy about Bill, because we do have similar ideas, but just different approaches to it. I think you have to see us together to really understand what we're talking about.
Yes, and
Randy, on that.
I agree. Which leads me to, as you mentioned earlier, Christian, first time you got to spend some time with Bill was when he came down to develop the cigar, and I believe Ethan, you were on that trip as well, weren't you?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about how that came to be? And I've heard some stories that are not fit for the podcast. But tell us a little bit about the process that you guys went through when you were first developing what is formerly known as the Deadwood Tobacco Chasing the Dragon line.
Yeah, for Ethan. On all sides, man. So, listen, we made cigars for many years for Deadwood, for the shop, Vaughn and John. And then when Bill took over, we made a few projects. And he and Tom, rallies, they kept talking about developing this cigar with certain aromas. And listen, that's not my forte, right? And after a couple conversations, I'm like, listen, guys, you guys want to develop it? You guys go down there. You have free range of the factory. I'll let you do whatever the hell you guys want to do at the factory. Just don't ask me to do it because I don't know how to do it. It's like Bill to go and drive a Ninja. He knows how to ride Harleys. He doesn't know how to ride the right burners, right? So whole different thing for me. So I asked them to go ahead, and they went down there. And I think we were there, 3-4 days the first trip.
Yep.
First trip for 3 more. And we just kept experimenting. And the fun thing about cigars is developing the product and running into these walls that you run into and figuring it out. And you just get ideas in the middle of the night, and we would text each other all different kinds of times. Oh, man, we figured this out. We're doing this. We're doing that. Well, until finally the final product was developed. And I think the product was absolutely beautiful. The way it tastes good. And I have to admit, I'd never smoked cigars made like that before. I do enjoy them. And we're really looking forward. I think those cigars, and everybody will be able to decide on their own. I think they ship the first week in December. I think they'll be around. But, of course, and I don't think we need to get into it. Some became pretty public. There was a certain disagreement with the name, but it's not for me to talk about. But we finally resolved it. We got something cooking, but it was all part. Again, that becomes a part of the process, a part of the story of that cigar. So I've always liked the fact that you can pick up a cigar and understand that there's a whole story behind it. And I think that to me is probably one of the most exciting things.
Yeah. Absolutely. And one thing that we were wanting to visit with you about, actually Miguel Chodel brought this up when we were having him a podcast where he and Bill went back and forth about master blenders, which is a discussion for another day. He mentioned something that you did in your Camacho days with La Flor Dominica about the face-off. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because it's fascinating. Both Ethan and I had not heard of it because it was, about 20 years ago, I take it, at this point.
Yeah, I love that face-off project. I wish we could do it again. Face-off was... I think it gets to a point when someone that goes into a store and buys cigars, they enjoy somebody's interpretation of something, right? Whether it's Connecticut, whether it's a Maduro cigar or a Corojo. So I got together with Lito Gomez, and Lito was by far my favorite manufacturer of Dominican at the time. Not that he's not now; it's just at the time we came very close. And I said, Lito, I get this idea. How about we make a cigar for each other? You make one for me, I'll make one for you. But to make sure you're safe, you make the bunches, I'll wrap it. So we made bunches for each other, and then we wrapped the cigars and finished off the blends ourselves. So we had, we were completely married at the hip. We were conjoined at the hip when we made that product. We shipped it. I think it was, I want to say 30 or 50,000 cigars that we shipped out. It was December. I don't know. Was it 2005, maybe 2006? It was such a cool project, and that's the one thing that I keep getting asked for more and more. Is to do a project like that again, and I just haven't found the right person to do it with, and it just has to. I can't sit here and put it on paper and tell you. It just hits me one time, or I'll taste a product sometime from somebody, and I'll find a particular hint that I'll enjoy. And back then, Lito, I just liked the way he approached cigar making. And when I visited this factory, I loved the way I think he operates at the same factory today and operates the very same way from an artistic point of view. That's why you don't see a million La Flor Dominicanas anywhere. He's very careful about his product, and I learned a lot from him, and I think he learned a lot from us. At that time he wasn't making that many full body cigars, and after that he went completely full body. So we both learned from each other, and I look forward to doing that with somebody else. I mean, it would be cool to do it with him, but if there's someone else out there, I'll start thinking, see who I can do it with.
That would be cool to do with him again, but like 25 years later or something like that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'll be nice to do it. We'll see. Bill, sometimes you can't plan these things. They just have to happen. Pretty much the same when we did the plan. It wasn't planned. It was just something you had in your mind, and I'm sure you're thinking about it sometime prior. You just have to find the right person to do it with.
Correct.
Do you think that the industry in general, you talked about, is there a point where the changes in the industry in the last 20 years make that harder to have a relationship like that with someone, with all of the consolidation and the changing hands of companies? Or are there enough family-owned and run businesses like yourself where there might be a partner out there? You said it has to be organic, something that you stumble upon. Are there candidates if that's something that was asked for in the cigar culture again?
That's actually a really good question, well thought out question. Yes, it's much harder. There are a lot less. There are a lot less smaller companies. So what happened in the mid '90s? There was a cigar boom in the '90s, and many of us started at the same time. So we're all peers, right? So we were all new to it. We were more willing to experiment. At that time, the industry was completely and absolutely dominated by General Cigar and Consolidated, which is now Altadis. And those two were a dominant force. Fuente was already growing very fast pace. And it was easier for us to get notoriety, to get more creative and have a lot more fun doing it. But then Camacho developed, and we became known for Corojo. Lido was very artistic and Connecticut cigars, and eventually Lido went into the full body and became known for I guess it's just called La Flor now, right? And not, I don't know if it's La Flor Dominicana or just La Flor, whatever. And you look at other companies now. Pete Johnson has this thing. My Father's Cigars has their thing. And everybody already kind of went into their niche and kind of went into their corners, and their businesses are doing well. And there really are only, I don't know, maybe a dozen of smaller companies, but we're all chasing our own. And we don't get a chance to socialize as much as we used to before, because we kind of understood our business. At first, when you're developing the company, you're doing a lot of creative stuff because you're trying to find where you fit in this world. I think everybody pretty much found their thing. And it would be hard to get somebody to sit down and say, okay, let's try this project. How to pull it off. Just
Here's an old blend.
More complicated. The whole world became a market, because if we do it in the United States, we got to do it in 40 or 50 other countries at the same time. So it became a lot more complex now.
What about the old blend of the Collier?
Oh, we can't do it anymore. We turned that farm in.
Oh.
That because my father kept having trouble getting tobacco out of that farm, and Honduras started getting stricter also with the mineral rights and the water rights. So that farm, he sold that farm maybe 15 years ago, right around the time when we sold Camacho Cigars. Also, that farm too was sold. Right. The farm wasn't really yielding a lot of tobacco, and unfortunately at the time, pricing of cigars and the pricing of Camacho, we couldn't yield enough revenue from that brand to justify holding that farm anymore. Today maybe it'll be a different story, but back then I think the Coilar was being sold for, I think it was $5-6.
That was a strong stick,
bro. There was a blend that I lost, I could never get again. It was with that Coilar tobacco, Old Ligero, and I put some Corojo wrappers with priming. That they're the best cigars I ever smoked, ever. I've never smoked anything like it since, and I lost it. I couldn't reproduce the blend anymore, and we don't have that kind of soil anymore. So
we sold the shit out of it at Cigar Fair in Maumee, Ohio. We had a sign on there called the Dog Walker because it would walk you across the street and bite somebody who was that strong. I'm not lying. They had a little Perfecto. That thing was, no, I wouldn't do it.
Those things are pretty good, man. Yeah, I wish I could make that blend again. And I don't want to cheat people and say, okay, it's back. But, I like, I don't know. I think I owe our customers too much to try to come up with a story and fake it.
You'd have to come up with something that could honor what that was. How it grew, but it just didn't have the ability to survive.
I know, man. Yeah, we do have a cigar similar to that as far as strength, right? Which is a Pandemonium under Asylum.
Yep.
That we just want to go full body, and you kind of lose because you got strength, body, and flavor, 3 things. So this one gives you a lot of strength and a lot of body, but you lose some of the flavor because the flavor kind of gets covered up by the 2 other items. So, but the Pandemonium will give you a lot of that body and strength. It does have good flavor. If I wanted to make it stronger, I would lose a lot of the flavor. Coilar was able to deliver that, and that was a perfect balance. It really was. Yeah, I remember we had Perfecto number 1 and Perfecto number 2.
Yes.
And back from when we bought the company from Simon Camacho, he had the molds. I was like, listen, let's make these molds. I don't even think Perfecto sell anymore. I don't even carry them anymore. I don't even make any torpedoes anymore, I don't think.
Now the only Perfecto we got is La Aurora Preferidos. That's it.
That's it, man. They're the king of the hill. They kept the whole thing.
That's it. What else you got, Randy?
Well, I was going to talk to you. You brought this up just a little bit ago about, I think you said people first, product second. I read in a recent interview you did, you said that as you have progressed in the industry, it's been much less about economics, but more about taking care of your people and then having that be what is defining success in the industry. Like you said, you always have to turn a profit or you wouldn't be in business. Can you talk about what led that change of thinking to less monetary, less profit, and more about basically the employees from the very beginning to the retailers, and what's it done for the business after this shifting of a mindset?
It was funny. This is going to sound like an incredible statement, but all right. So in the Camacho days, we always took good care of the rollers and people on the farm. We always had our own clinics, and we try to do some projects outside. But after we sold the company, it was probably the most depressing time of my life. Again, like I said, it sounds like an incredible statement because I realized, again, I was young. I was 36 years old when we sold, and I kept looking back. You know what? I really haven't benefited besides just providing a salary and income for people. I haven't benefited anybody. I haven't benefited humanity. I haven't benefited anybody other than these people and, of course, my family and the security and all that stuff. So I wanted to, I always promised if I did something again, I want to do something better. I want to do something better, benefit, and also the environment. And I was very disappointed I didn't do enough for the environment at the time. Our farms, we did develop the farms into zero impact on the environment, certified by Bayer, but it wasn't close to enough. So this new company, that's it. Everything's about how we benefit our people, and we tried different projects. First I started trying to do these, bring the rollers to the U.S. and help get the rollers educated. Then that's what we did, Wynwood. But then we get the visas for the rollers, and once they were here in the U.S., they would kind of disappear. So Monday morning, there was one roller. I have $5,000 a visa, man. Much every week. So that project by the wayside, and of course that ended. I was doing a sports scholarship program. I said, you know what? I'm going to do the same. I'm going to bring these kids over to play soccer, and they're all going to be disappearing out of the hotel. We're going to show up to a squad of 11. I'm going to have 4 players. So I scratched. So then, fortunately, Honduras developed there's a new breast cancer center in Tegucigalpa. I've been working with them. Not enough. I'm going to be doing a lot more now. And then, we're also doing stuff and so what we ended up doing was, first, we're going to work internally. We made our factory, we maximized the amount of solar power we could use, which is at 54% right now. We can't do more because the government doesn't buy back power. So the curve you look at, unless you really understand, I don't understand that much either, but there's a curve of how much power you're generating and how much power you're consuming. So that is at an 84% efficiency, and that's the max that we could get from our current setup. We're now also doing, because water is disappearing from Central America, because the Niño, La Niña. So the next thing we're doing is we're now designing this whole rain collection system in all our factory, and we're going to do it on the farm also. And we're also, and one of the farms that we're developing 2 or 3 more farms. One of the farms that we're developing is with people that have a forestry company, and we're not going to start growing with them 70,000 trees a year, which we'll get into the millions of trees very quickly. I want to see how I can reach out and have stores be a part of that program too, where stores are able to get a plot of land, and the stores too can kind of adopt the tree kind of a thing, adopt the plot. I'm going to figure that out because I think everybody want to be involved. We are very, very, our industry is extremely destructive to wood for the cigar boxes, and we can't change that. But we can replace a lot of trees that we're consuming. It's not enough to buy, to change procedures in the processes in the factory. It's not enough to buy from controlled forests. We have to do more. We can't just depend on these companies that are out for a profit to grow the trees and tell you, you never know if these certificates that they're giving you are fugazi or not. So the only way I can sleep with myself at night is growing the trees myself and being a part of that program. So, you got to benefit as many people as possible. We do have still the clinics in our factory. Now we reach out and do a lot of outreach to people's homes, teach them about hygiene, to the extent that I think in COVID, still one was too much, but we lost only one person during COVID. But when you think that everybody works in a very small building, 200 or 300 people, that only one person got seriously ill, and that we did lose. I think that's huge. So hygiene is very big for us, and the way we treat our employees is very big for us. Still, it's a key thing.
Do you think that is something that's going to be continued with other cigar companies and manufacturers, or is this something that you've noticed your contemporaries also doing? It sounds like stuff that I wasn't aware of, and it just makes perfect sense, especially about the refurbishing the forest after all of the wood for the boxes and things like that. Is this unique to CLE, or your other friends in the industry jumping on board too?
No, we actually we actually started developing a mountain. I'm laughing because you'll laugh at the end too. All right, so as you get into Danlí, there's a mountainside that we took over, and General Cigar was already growing part of that mountain. And there's another company, another of our competitors was doing a part of it, but they abandoned it, so they gave it to us. But the guy who was running that for us with the forestry service in Honduras ended up getting a job with a sawmill. So now he cuts wood instead of help people replant wood. So now what he does, he scouts forests to cut down. So we abandoned that. And so I'm doing this on my own with another person that does this for a living. And I do hope, like this solar thing and the water recovery, we do want to make it very public, because I do want other companies to start doing the same thing. I want them to do a really good job at it. And the one thing that our cigar industry is that it is not original at all. So if someone has success with something, we're willing to share, so others can start doing the same thing. And I do hope it catches on. I mean, how great would it be if we as an industry consume 20% less electricity than we used to before? I mean, it's a significant number, and wood. How great would it be if everybody is growing? I'm making up the math, right? But if you get a factory that's consuming 10,000 trees a year, how great would it be if they replanted 3 trees for every 1 tree that they cut down?
Sure.
And I would even make it so that in this forest area we're taking over, or that we're joining, that we go ahead and we grow trees for other people as well.
It seems like fitting for the cigar industry, because the cigar industry in general, especially on the growing side, is a long-term investment. You're not planning things today and using them tomorrow. You're thinking years and decades in the future. So it only makes sense for that to transfer over to all other aspects of the business. Yeah, man.
I just had a discussion with our accountant here, right? Because we started developing a farm in South America, and we're probably $1 million into this farm. And you guys were, why are you doing this? I go, bro, because first of all, this tobacco that we're growing now is not going to be in a cigar until 2027, 2026, 2027. We don't know where the weather and the climate's going in Honduras, right? We got to plan ahead, and a farm takes at least 10 years to get up and running. So we're always planning ahead. Always have to plan ahead, because you don't know what's coming. You can't depend on that many people either. Look at this year, Ecuador lost all their tobacco, all of it. There's no tobacco from Ecuador available. The Habanos aren't available. The Connecticuts aren't available. You're going to start hearing a lot about that in probably July, August next year, which is when everybody's going to start feeling the pinch. So it's everything takes a lot of planning with tobacco, man. And there's always a new surprise around the corner, always.
And with the new surprises, it seems like you're well equipped to jump to any challenge, which leads us to new products. For example, we were just checking out the social media. You got the PCA exclusives just shipping. Tell us a little bit about what's going to be new on the stores in the coming months and weeks.
Yeah, so every year what we do is this happens. So the PCA is our annual convention, Premium Cigar Association. We have the annual convention in Las Vegas. And for the past few years, during the 2010s, it was declining every year, little by little. So then, of course, we had COVID. The COVID show would have been a really, really bad show in general. Had we not had COVID, it would have been very conflicted for the industry. So in 21, when everybody came back, we were trying to attract retailers back and trying to go organically. Different manufacturers came out with exclusive products for that trade show alone. And at that time, we did for ASYLUM, we did one for ASYLUM. So this year, it'll be our 3rd year already, making it the PCA exclusives. We did a CLE, which is a Connecticut wrapped cigar. We did an ASYLUM, we did an ASYLUM. We do a different one every year, which is a pretty cool box. The lid turns into an ashtray, so it's a perfect gift for a party. You can go to a party, you buy that box, you lay it out, and it's all set. But the blends are fantastic. And I on the PCA, the CLE PCA exclusive, I wanted to challenge myself to make a Connecticut cigar that had some body and that people would enjoy. Right now, the two leaders in that are certainly Davidoff and probably Aston. And I wanted people to try a different spin on a Connecticut cigar that hopefully they would enjoy. And hopefully we invite more people to smoke that kind of tobacco, because Connecticut tobacco is awesome. You just got to blend it right. They don't always have to be mild. And the PCA, that CLE PCA, is really giving us that kind of impact. And as far as new products, I've been real shy about coming out with new products. You know, I don't want to come out with that many new products. I want people to enjoy the ones we have now. And I am making some. Every year is different, and the tobacco gets some crops are better, some crops aren't that good. And I can tell you that the tobacco that we're going to start using in 24 is fantastic. And we have some of that Pinareño tobacco also that you find in the sensorium. And because they just gave you a different spin and they take you back in time. You know, I'm trying to recreate cigars that taste like what Cuban cigars tasted in the 1930s and 1940s and 1950s. Because I really like that traditional type of flavor. It's my favorite.
Anything, not specific blends, or just anything looking down the next 5-10 years that you're excited about, either within the company or in the industry in general?
Yeah, listen, man, those new farms we developed in the South American farm. You know, I was just picking on Rupert a while ago, but we were in Honduras a few weeks ago, and he sees we smoked a cigar, and he sees a smile that he hasn't seen. He goes, "Is that the tobacco, such and such tobacco?" I go, "Yeah, man." He goes, "Dude, that's $1 million smile, isn't it?" I go, "Yeah, it's exactly $1 million smile right now." That's how much we spent for the farm at that point. So, bro, and the tobacco tastes amazing. Imagine getting full body, but with that sweetness that is just natural sweetness, which is fantastic. You know, we do things like all the water we use in our factory is all reverse osmosis. So when you smoke our cigars, if you really want to pay attention to it, you'll notice that there's nothing salty, and there are no minerals in our tobacco, because all the water's been purified already. We try to get rid of all the minerals. So you take that tobacco with that very sweet finish, and we start putting that tobacco into our production that we will start using probably first quarter or second quarter in 2024. You'll start noticing these hints. The blend's not going to change, but just these little hints about the blend that just taste different, a lot more attractive.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I've got a question for you. Over your left shoulder there, that looks like something on the shelf that might give us $1 million smile. What do you have for sippers in the office there?
Oh, I'll show you one real cool one, man. There's a distillery right next to us, and we're working on some different products here. This is the rawest form right from the barrels of distillery. So we're working on aguardiente, which is fire water. That would be for ASYLUM. I have it here for disinfectant and also for sampling. That stuff is just strong, man. Really, really strong. And I found out that the composition of pretty much vodka, gin, and rum are pretty much the same, and fire water. It's just great. So we're working with them, try to develop something interesting for us. I don't know if it's something I want to play with or how far I want to take it. It's not what I do, but it's something for fun. They're a couple miles away from our factory, so once in a while I'll go sit with them and try different things and start developing some ideas. But we'll see what the future has. Cool. For now, you know, I'll start spending more time in Honduras, starting probably January next year. Spending maybe half my time over there. Whereas now I just go visit a few days at a time, once a month. I want to spend probably half my time there and really get into the factory. I want to develop some interesting and cool products and just have fun again, man. I really, you know, it's been 12 years of this company, and you always find yourself getting involved and the business aspect starts taking control. And I hate it when I see myself doing that. So I want to get back to the tobacco and the blending and the fun part that I really enjoy.
Well, that sounds great. And as always, if you ever feel like slumming it and put on jeans and a flannel, you're more than welcome to swing into Deadwood Tobacco and sit back and share a cigar and maybe a tasty beverage with the team here. We look forward to hopefully someday that fitting in your schedule, and we can show you what the new shop's all about.
Bro, I get threatened with that stupid kilt, man. I'm not wearing a kilt.
Me neither.
Fair enough. Well, thanks very much for spending part of your afternoon with us. We look forward to the Asylum 867 landing hopefully here within the next few weeks. We'll have a big party here at the shop when it does, as always. And we look forward to the next time we see you. Looks like the trade show has been moved up to March, so I'm sure some of us will stop by and say hello at that time. And thanks for spending time with us.
Thanks a lot, guys. Good luck, man.
A big thank you to friend of Deadwood Tobacco Company and all-around good guy, Mr. Christian Eiroa, for joining us for episode number 42 of the Deadwood Tobacco Company Blow and Smoke podcast. Make sure you swing on down to the venue at 715 Main Street. This weekend, we have Texas Blues featuring Grammy nominee Mr. Randy McAllister and James Van Nuys. They are known as the Hermosa Prairie Dogs. Live music every Friday and Saturday, 8 until midnight here at Deadwood Tobacco Company. Swing on by. We'd love to see you. More podcasts coming your way with the return of the Wives of DTC. We're going to do a live podcast coming up in March and a whole lot more. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share. We would appreciate all of that support. Once again, thanks, Mr. Christian Eiroa. Thanks to Wild Bill, Ethan for mixing and mastering. We'll see you next time.